What you know about a floppy disk? But today's beat makers can save thousands of beats on this and or this. So come with me on a journey to show you how beat making was before we had all of this modern marvel technology. Check it out. Before FL Studio, in the hardware days, you had to either start with the SP-1200, the MPC, the Akai MPC series, or the Ensoniq series, the EPS, or the ASR-10. There were other musical instruments that you could make hip hop on, but these were the three big ones. These were all hardware versions where you had to have this. See, the factory sounds didn't come like FL Studio where you had thousands and thousands of sounds and effects processors that could make those thousands and thousands of sounds into thousands and thousands of more songs. You had a base set of sounds that you came with the equipment. It was called factory sounds. They were awful. Very, very limited. Very, very corny too, I might add. I gotta say that. So you needed your vinyl to get your quality, authentic sounds. All of those different variants that you could get just right out of the box or right when you download the software. It's not even software in a box anymore. You just upload it. All you need is a Wi-Fi connection and boom, you're in. Not to mention the instruction manual. You didn't have to just type in YouTube how to make beats and you got 1,000 experts telling you to just mash the like button and mash the subscribe button and I'll show you how to make beats. Man, it was a trial and error process, and or you had to be a mentor. Almost like, I don't know if you ever seen the movie Star Wars, almost like a mentor where you have to be Anakin Skywalker to Obi-Wan Kenobi or Obi-Wan Kenobi to Yoda. You had to find your master Yoda to teach you how to make beats and what equipment you needed that you would be most comfortable with to make beats. I myself, personally, my beat mentor, my beat Yoda, DJ Head, he actually used the SP-1200. And that was the first beat I learned how to make actual hip hop on. However, I thought it was a little too limiting and I liked the idea of having a keyboard, even though I would have loved it. I had the drum pads of the SP-12. And really, I have no idea why I didn't naturally gravitate towards the Akai series. The Akai series is phenomenal, still enduring legacy to its day. And so is the SP-12 and the Ensoniq if you still use them. Real dusty hip hop. That real grimy, dusty vinyl hip hop, to me, the SP-1200 and the MPC series make the best versions of that type of hip hop. I mean, that real grimy, dusty, that old school sound. All right, and to the next point, everything, and I mean everything, costed money. Records, samples, sample kits, but even if you could find them, you also had to pay for the samplers. My first sampler, my ASR-10, Ensoniq ASR-10, cost $3,000 out the box. Now, mind you, I was the first person to touch it, but it came with factory sounds that were awful. Awful. So you had to get the sampler, $3,000 out the gate. Now, mind you, back then, minimum wage, if I'm not mistaken, was about $5.50 an hour. So imagine the discipline it took to save up the kind of money you needed as a kid to pay $3,000 for a sampler. Now, you got minimum wage at $10, $11 an hour, and you need FL Studio's $199. It's a great deal for kids making beats now. And you also had, not to mention, I already mentioned the discs, but you had MIDI cables and cables that you needed to plug your hardware into actual audio sound systems and recording systems and things of that nature so you could actually record lyrics or burn them to CDs like that were popular at the time. This is before MP3s, mind you. So you had to have a lot of cords to hook up the hardware so it could speak to each other and all the other systems that you had to have. Not to mention turntables and all of that stuff, thousands and thousands of dollars just to get your feet wet, just to get into the game. Notice too, the SP-1200, the EMU SP-1200, legendary piece of equipment, only had 10 seconds of sampling time. 10 seconds of sampling time. I want you to think of that. So that's where all of the fast forwarding of the records came from to actually get the sounds that you wanted. You only had 10 seconds. So you had to put a record, 45, speed it up so you could get the sample and then sometimes slow it down. Some producers made a living off of having the fast forwarded sound of the sample time. But then the MPC 60 and the MPC 2000s from Akai came out, where you could get memory expansions. I know particularly my Ensoniq ASR-10 out the box came with 32 seconds of sampling time, which was a huge selling point for me that made me choose the Ensoniq ASR-10. Then I managed to use that, get the memory expansion, which cost even more money. I think it was like 600 more bucks to get it expanded up to 1 minute and 36 seconds of sampling time. So that was like all day. Now you can actually sample your complete verses and do that with the process. So also you have very, very little teeny screens to do all of your work on, not these big giant workstations or a mouse with a keypad with a giant screen to actually play your drums out or play your samples out over a large screen. I mean, these were on tiny little screens about this big. You had to do that. And you also didn't have undos. I mean, if you messed it up, there were a lot of beats that were lost, a lot of classic beats that were lost just by the accidental press of a button with these old hardware machines. So it was definitely a different time to actually record shopping at, there will be record stores that you could go to, old thrift shops that you could go to, garage sales. I would go record shopping with my Beat Yoda, my mentor who taught me how to make beats. Record shopping was like gold. It was like digging for gold. It was like trying to be like a pirate finding a treasure chest. I mean, finding a drum break, a new drum break or a fresh drum break was like hitting the lottery. I mean, nowadays you got like sample packs, volume 7, things of that nature. Man, we just had to find new musicians and new artists that other people haven't heard. Because if you have the same exact sounds as everyone else, then you have no creativity, no innovation. So you had to try to find other cool sounding drum loops or other cool sounding horns or cool sounding guitar riffs or synthesizers and things of that nature, because you couldn't buy an actual synthesizer itself and have your drum machine and your sampler and your sequencer and all of that stuff. It was real tough to find real good quality sounds to use. So those were the days when going record shopping was like trying to find treasure. One thing too that's major, you had to learn how to make beats. So one convenience that guys have nowadays is they can type in how to make beats and there's gonna be 10,000 people telling you this is how you make beats. And you can get FL Studio and start like this and make a beat like this, and you can make a beat that sounds exactly like that. You could just replicate his formula and you're making a beat just like him in seconds. We didn't have that luxury. You had to, like I said, either be taught by someone on their particular machine of choice, and you had to learn that way. And if they were nice enough to let you actually practice on their thing, on their equipment, you were real lucky. You were in a good place. But usually you had to make that huge leap of faith investment. Not $199 for FL Studio. The huge leap of faith and investment in your talent, as well as your actual money. Not $199. We're talking $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 to invest in yourself and your love and your passion of hip hop. That's really, now you can do that now. You still can do that now. But you've got all of these great resources to be able to take your talent to the next level, your talent and or your passion, or both, ideally, to take that to the next level. That's another great luxury that the modern technology affords. And honestly, I love all of these modern tools. FL Studio, Logic, Machine, YouTube tutorials, they're all great. VSTs, effects processors, you name it. These tools are exceptional for all producers of all age groups and barriers. But like I said, the bar has never been easier. The bar for entry into the game has never been easier than it is now. So it's a great time to take advantage of these phenomenal tools that we have access to now with the great technology. So really, in short, it's a great opportunity. Take advantage of it, utilize and maximize the discipline for you to be able to take your beats and your music to the next level. Everybody, just to wrap it up, this is SkullGame Beatz. Just wanted to double check. I'm curious, real curious. Did you start on FL Studio, Logic, Machine, Ableton, GarageBand, any of those? Let me know in the comments what actual DAW or what music equipment did you start on working with. I'm curious to know. I read every comment, I respond to every comment. SkullGame Beatz. It's your main man, 100 Grand HG. Thank you so much for checking this video out.